God, my neighbor gave me these two cases of Minute Maid peach, some fruit mix, and then I threw in a whole big thing of vodka, and it's quite strong, and I didn't realize it until about 2 seconds ago.
I don't get to have alcohol until May 11th, so
I'll do it for us both.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week we take a look back in time to decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, with the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all the information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, tonight's film has got me feeling kind of odd. I was excited to watch the film. It's got a lot of history for me. It's difficult to go back and watch. It's also, I'm sad because it's the end of an era. Even with Shat, we've gone back and watched the series of films that were very important to me. And I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad we did it for Jeremiah. This is basically the month of Jeremiah. This is week 2 of Jeremiah's 6 weeks of 80s and 90s cinematic gold. So I was excited. I'm still glad he did it. Jeremiah, long overdue. He wanted us to go back to 1983 and review episode 6 of the Star Wars series, Return of the Jedi.
And Jeremiah, along with being a prolific commissioner, is in touch with us a lot on Instagram and other methods, and is our Steps Challenge, too. Makes what I have to say about this movie a little bit difficult, Jeremiah. And I want you to know that I'm doing my best to do my job and not let my feelings toward you interfere with my feelings toward Return of the Jedi.
God, that made me feel even worse because I'm sitting here and I haven't done any amount of, I've done like 6,000 steps today. So then in my head, I'm thinking, all right, I'm 4,000 behind. I'm going to have to add that up to tomorrow. So knowing your feelings on this film, knowing my internal cognitive dissonance with this film and my history of it, Jeremiah probably looking right now at my steps and being like, what the fuck is Big D doing? It's a night of mixed emotions.
You're still well ahead of me, so you're doing great.
Nah, it's not going to last long.
Return of the Jedi, also known as Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, is a 1983 epic space opera directed by Richard Marquand from a screenplay by Lawrence Kasdan and George Lucas. The sequel to The Empire Strikes Back, which was released in 1980, Return of the Jedi is the third installment in the original Star Wars trilogy and the 6th chronological film in the Skywalker saga. The film follows an ongoing struggle between the malevolent Galactic Empire and the freedom fighters of the Rebel Alliance. As the rebels attempt to destroy the Empire's second Death Star, Luke Skywalker tries to bring his father, Darth Vader, back from the dark side of the Force. The film stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Billy D. Williams, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew, and Frank Oz. Steven Spielberg, David Lynch, and David Cronenberg were considered to direct the film before Marquand signed on as director. The production team relied on Lucas's storyboards during pre-production, and while writing the shooting script, Lucas, Kasdan, Marquand, and producer Howard Kazanjian spent 2 weeks in conference discussing ideas to construct it. Kazanjian's schedule pushed shooting to begin a few weeks early to allow Industrial Light and Magic more time to work on the film's effects and post-production, and filming took place in England, California, and Arizona from January to May 1982. Return of the Jedi grossed $374 million worldwide during its initial theatrical run, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1983. It was well received by critics, with strong praise going to the performances of the actors, John Williams' score, the special effects, and the action sequences. Several re-releases and revisions to the film have followed over the decades, which have brought the total gross for Return of the Jedi to $482 million. Now, Big D, on episode 4, A New Hope, I'll let you go first as the elder on the podcast. This time, I'll go first with my memories of Return of the Jedi. And I've mentioned this on a half dozen other episodes, never thinking the day would come when Jeremiah would commission this movie and I have to face my fears of Return of the Jedi. My mom took me to see this movie in the movie theater when I was 3 years old, shortly after we moved to Arizona from Queens. I was terrified because I thought all the aliens were monsters. And if you think about it from a 3-year-old's perspective, this is kind of a scary movie. And I cried so much that my mom had to take me next door to see Michael Keaton and Mr. Mom. So, Mom, if you're listening out there, I'm sorry I was such a coward and ruined your day at the movies. But in my opinion, I spared you a truly awful film.
So I mentioned last week that I saw the original Star Wars in a drive-thru. I saw Empire Strikes Back also opening weekend. This film, I have the same warm memories, except there was like a little more anticipation because I was a little bit older. Were you around for TV guides?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so for people who don't remember, before the internet and you wanted to know what was going to be on TV for the week, there was an actual periodical that came out every week called TV Guide, and they would do features on shows, on movies. So when Star Wars was coming out, when we were going to get Return of the Jedi, it was supposed to finish out the trilogy, they did a special on Star Wars. And I remember running out to the store to get them, and they showed behind the scenes in California, the filming, and you got like a little sneak peek of the speeder bikes and some of the sets and a little bit of the Ewoks, and just the anticipation was killing me. So opening weekend comes, and for some reason my parents didn't take me, but my kind uncle decided he was going to take me. So we went, we got the usual popcorn. I think we saw it in White Plains, a nice big drink. He was generous. Inevitably, I had to pee. I had to pee probably for the last 2/3 of the film. And I was not going to get up. I was not going to walk all the way out to the bathroom, have to come back in, risk missing something. So I held it in. Then leaving the theater, it was a long line. We get into his car, and I remember it was a Chevy Citation. And he had these rubber floor mats. I remember telling him I had to go to the bathroom. I peed all down my legs. It filled up this rubber like floor mat. I was embarrassed. I felt just mortified. So I go from a high of, woo, Luke, Jedi, ooh, the Death Star, and all that, to my uncle driving me home in a Chevy Citation, smelling of urine and wet pants.
In your defense, this is a particularly long Star Wars movie. Like, it's over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
For a child-sized bladder and a big drink. And remember, for those of you listening, our young audience, I know there's so many of you out there, when you watched a movie in the theater, especially if it was like a new movie, that movie, the only way you were probably going to see it was in the theater. Maybe in a month or two, it'll end up at the dollar movies. Maybe. So you did not walk out to go to the bathroom, because if you missed that scene, you might have missed it for life. Yeah. Imagine that movie's then out of the theater, but it's not on VHS or DVD, or you don't have access to a VHS. I mean, we didn't have VCRs back then. If you did, they were thousands of dollars. You watched the whole movie.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. And I don't remember if I ever went back and saw it again with dry pants, but it was, I think back in the day, think about it now, I think I left the theater happy and optimistic, because there was always rumors you would get in like the horror movie or the sci-fi magazines like Fangoria and all of those, that there was immediately rumors that the Star Wars universe was going to continue. And each year, you and your friends would, I heard a rumor that it's going to be this. I heard it's going to be that. Each year that passed, you became a little further away from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and Star Wars became more and more dim in your memory and in your love, until finally the prequels came back and everything that's been going on now. But I had hoped, Gene, that we were going to go back to the original three, and I was going to rekindle my love, and I'm not quite sure.
It just occurred to me that when the original three were re-released, right before Phantom Menace came out, okay?
97.
That was 97. which means that there were 14 years, only 14 years between Return of the Jedi and the re-release of A New Hope with all the added stuff in there. 14 years. That's like 2011 to now. Back then, it seemed like, oh, those are old movies.
Oh, because again, you had like kids who weren't born when it started.
Yeah.
So it was a true, like they say, it's like a space opera. It's a mythology. Like it almost became a myth upon itself that people were like, oh, what is this? I want to go see it. And they even did those commercials, Gene. See it the way it was meant to be on the big screen. And Lucas, though, he milked it. Every year there was like the new edition, the Lucas edition, the special edition, the super special edition, the CGI edition, the widescreen edition, the silver centennial like box set of VHS tapes. So they slowly started to kill it even before the prequels. And now looking back, I think it's the curse of Star Wars that it was mismanaged from even the beginning.
Well, Jeremiah, I'm sad to be closing out the series, but I'm glad to be doing it with you and Big D. Let's hit the trailer.
Return for the climactic clash between the forces of good and evil. Return to a galaxy far, far away. Return of the Jedi. The next chapter in the continuing Star Wars saga. The battle for freedom rages on. The heart of a hero. The courage of a rebel. The strength of a leader. The loyalty of comrades. The power of the Force. The cunning of the enemy. A destiny revealed.
Is Darth Vader my father?
A legend fulfilled. An epic of heroes, villains, and aliens from 1,000 worlds. Major Crap! The quest continues. The circle closes. The saga lives on. Return of the Jedi begins May 25th at a theater in your galaxy.
A year after Han Solo's imprisonment in Carbonite, Luke Skywalker sends C-3PO and R2-D2 to the palace of Jabba the Hutt. Disguised as a bounty hunter, Princess Leia also infiltrates the palace and releases Han from the Carbonite, but is caught by Jabba and enslaved. Luke arrives to bargain for the release of his friends, but Jabba drops him through a trapdoor to be eaten by a Rancor. After Luke kills the beast, Jabba decrees that he, Han, and Chewbacca will be fed to a Sarlacc. R2-D2 shoots Luke his new green lightsaber, and the group of friends battle Jabba's thugs aboard his sail barge. Boba Fett falls into the Sarlacc's pit, and Leia strangles Jabba to death with her chains. The group escapes as Jabba's sail barge is destroyed. Big D, we just did A New Hope, and during that podcast, I complained that the CGI that was added in the 1997 release took away from the vibe of the 1977 classic. Well, Return of the Jedi heard me and decided to show me what a movie looked like with bad CGI and bad puppets. Return of the Jedi, for those of you who have not seen it in a while, it's like Star Wars meets Meet the Feebles. The puppets, they're awful. The entire tone is childish. You get the rubbery Gamorreans. You get that whole jazz number with like the Disney cosplayers. And then that animated lips jazz singing alien. I don't know what the hell I was watching. There were only 3 good things about this sequence. Jabba looked great. Dewana guy is still fucking funny. And of course, Slave Leia looks terrific.
You see, but here's the issue. And people, if you didn't listen to Star Wars last week, we cannot get the original theatrical version. So we are cursed to watch the special edition. So when these additional scenes come up, Gene, I got to remind myself, this is not the way it was originally seen. This was not the original version. So we can't condemn it for what we see here, because Jabba's, his throne room originally, it was incredible. It was practical effects. Other than Salacious Crumb, if you're going to talk about bad puppets, and he's hopping around.
He's bad.
Whatever. Look at Yoda. Is Yoda great? No. It's Frank Oz, but you just let him do his little puppet thing. It's fine. But you had practical puppets for the band, practical puppets for Jabba. There was like 8 or 10 guys underneath Jabba, making his tail wag, his eyes, the whole thing. All of the characters in the throne room, they were real. It was this weird, grimy, it was totally believable. Now, however, when we get the musical performance, Gene, the new CGI, it is an abomination. It makes the Jabba insert into A New Hope look acceptable. It is, they have like a character that looks like the Tasmanian devil who comes out and is singing. You've got the band now. The song has changed. It's gone to like this cartoonish, it looks almost like a Looney Tunes or like a Foghorn Leghorns. Like, I say, Luke, I don't say, you's a Jedi. It's awful. It's obnoxious. And I have the 2 songs and I got to play them. The first one is like something you'd expect to hear in like a dark, like jazzy club. It's dirty. To me, it's just some dirty, it's like a party going on. You hear it? And just picture her, the singer, the only thing moving is the lips. You got the blue guy on the keyboards. This shit is good. You got Boba Fett. He's sitting off in the corner. He's not hitting on chicks like in the remix. And then the new one gives us this whole musical, over-the-top theatrical number with singing Tasmanian Devil. All the band is jumping around. There's background singers. Fucking Boba Fett is hitting on the girls. It's terrible. Listen to this. Oh, fucking background singers. It's awful. It's awful, Gene.
Aside from being a strange choice from a visual standpoint, from an oral standpoint, right? I could not decide what vibe they're going for in this scene. Is it danger? Is it an infiltration? Should we be worried for everybody? Are we supposed to be laughing? Is it supposed to be, I don't know, sexy, trippy? What are we supposed to feel here? It's all over the place. And this happens repeatedly through the movie.
It's a good point. He's supposed to be this deadly gangster who's going to kill you. He will immediately, end you. But that's not what it seems. He's running like a circus here. It's bad. And you already mentioned iconic. You have to talk about Princess Leia if you're going to talk about this movie. And Carrie Fisher in that gold bikini, that was the thing of an entire generation of boys' dreams. That moment is iconic. It's unforgettable. It's plastered across every poster and magazine of the time. Action figures, Carrie Fisher, young, thin. It made an impression. And the backstory of it now, as you become an adult, it's a little harder to celebrate it because Carrie Fisher, she had to lose a lot of weight quickly. Cocaine may have helped her. It wasn't a positive experience for her, and having Lucas and the other guys get her into that suit, she had to sit there for hours, like with her back straight, so she didn't have any rolls and her abs showed. And going back, as much as I love it, I think it's iconic. I kept feeling kind of bad for her. I could picture dirty old Lucas sexualizing Leia, and it worked out and became legendary, but it's weird. It's just an odd choice, like you said. In this throne room of this deadly slug, you had to get Leia into that outfit. And in hindsight, the way that Disney has made this character disappear, Disney will not have any posters, images. They've stopped all the action figures, everything. They want to erase it. They erased this quicker than changing the name of Slave One to Boba Fett ship or whatever the hell they call it. It's a part of Disney that erased the Star Wars history. Does it bother you, Gene, to know what was going on behind the scenes or how this affected Carrie Fisher?
No.
Okay, good. Thank goodness.
I think that when it comes to art, when it comes to iconic moments, much like in The Shining, right, with Shelley Duvall. Like, it's sometimes to achieve these things, to achieve the art, you have to suffer a little bit, right? And as long as like a person is not being like sexually assaulted or like physically assaulted, if they're consenting and they decide to do it that way, then I think it's all right. It kind of, I feel like those guys that say, baseball players should be able to do steroids so that we have, bigger home run numbers and fewer injuries. I'm not that guy, because I think in the case of sports, if doing it is the way that you're going to get successful, then it forces everybody to do it, right? Not everybody is forced to do what Carrie Fisher did for this role, but she did it. And I think that whether it was a year or two of living under these conditions and going through those shoots, the fact is what she did lives on forever, right? Even outlives her. I think it's worth it.
It lives on.
Question to you.
Yeah.
Did Emma think she looked old?
Well, here's the issue. So Emma, I made her watch Star Wars with me.
Uh-huh.
So she knows. I tried to get her watch last night, Empire Strikes Back, but she couldn't because it was a little bit too late, homework. She came in and busted me watching this. So she came in on the spoiler alert, the end, the attack on the Death Star #2. She goes, "What are you watching?" And I said, nothing, leave the room. You can't be here right now. She goes, "Is this what I think it is?" And I was like, "Yes, Return of the Jedi." She goes, okay. I'm going to leave the room. So she hasn't seen it. She wants to watch Empire Strikes Back, but I do not believe when she sees this that she's going to think Carrie Fisher looked old as she did in Star Wars. She will probably think she looks good and has some riz.
Yeah, when she was crawling around on the barge, yowza.
Unbelievable.
Manning that cannon.
Agreed.
Operating the cannon. You remember that scene in Austin Powers when Scotty Evil tells Dr. Evil, he's like, "I got a gun. I can just come back, shoot them on the spot. They'll be dead." And Dr. Evil's like, "No, I have an even better idea. I'm going to place him in an easily escapable situation involving an overly elaborate and exotic death." I experienced that frustration with Jabba. Jabba straight up says Luke and his crew are to be, and I quote, "terminated immediately." Yeah, we're going to terminate you immediately. We're going to take you to the Sarlacc pit. Everyone's going to get on the barge. You're going to go to the Sarlacc pit. And then you're going to get dropped into the pit where the Sarlacc's going to eat you and you'll be digested over 1,000 years. I get it. Like, Jabba likes to be entertained. As you said, he's running a circus. Okay, fine. There have been 3 attempts to infiltrate your palace in the last hour. You got Luke, who keeps saying he's going to kill you. Why on earth would you delay this execution? You know he's a Jedi.
Okay, so I don't want to complain here. I understand this is a movie about space wizards. As Obi-Wan says in A New Hope, this is a sci-fi opera with light swords and metachlorians. So I understand that, right? And I understand it's aimed at kids. And now I'm a 50-year-old man, and we do a podcast where we look at heist films and these complicated plans that people have. But I can't separate it. It doesn't make sense. They're a smart group, right? They're these plucky upstart rebels against the evil empire, an organization that's well organized, that they can take over the universe. So I got to ask myself, how did this plan evolve? Who thought of this? Was this the best thing, right? So you've got Lando. He's undercover. I assume he did some scouting. He did a little recon, right, Gene? And you're talking about this, I'm going to kill them immediately. Did they tell Luke about the trapdoor? Did they not think about maybe if we kill Jabba, it's all simple? Maybe you could sneak in with a thermal detonator. You kill Jabba, we let the entire crime syndicate fall apart. Then maybe you just walk in and buy Han Solo and Carbonite, whatever. But this plan that they come up with to save Han Solo is one of the most complicated, just thought out process in the entire Star Wars saga. You've got Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewie, R2, 3CPO. They're all part of this elaborate, this is like Ocean's 11 level shit, right? And it all depends on sheer luck, perfect timing, and an ideal set of circumstances. What if R2 ends up staying back and not on the sail barge? Say they decide to not even use him and decommission him. What if Jabba kills Leia earlier, drops her into the pit with the other dancer? What happens? What happens if they scan R2 and find the lightsaber? What happens? Anything could go wrong. Anything here. It all has to be high-stake performance, perfect strategy. And even though I'm going to say all this, and it's ridiculous, and it could have fallen apart at any point, Gene, my heart started racing. When he says, put them in, and Luke gets poked, and you hear boom, boom, and then the music starts, and Luke does the flip. The green saber comes out. It's shot in the air. Gene, my little boy heart was screaming, yes, fuck yes. I had goosebumps, Gene. Luke fighting his way onto the barge and off and saving his friends, as corny and overthought as it was, it gets me every time.
Can you explain to me what part of this strategy could not have happened at Jabba's palace? Why did they have to go to the Sarlacc pit?
They didn't. Did they give Luke a heads up that the Rancor was there? He's a Jedi, right? Would you not have a backup saber? You made the green one, make another blue one. Make another purple one, like Mace. You show up with no lightsaber, you fall into the Sarlacc pit. It's stupid. It's just a mistake waiting to happen. All of this could have happened in the palace. What if they don't go to the Sarlacc pit?
Yeah.
What if it happens in the throne room and you see like R2 just shoot the sword into the ceiling, breaks it, it just lands on the floor? It's ridiculous. But I have to ask you one thing, Gene. Last week, we talked about droids and their sentience in the Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. When we get into Jabba's hut and they've gotten the droids as a gift, Jabba's got some kind of torture center. They come in and the robots, the artificial life, the droids, they're upside down, like like burning their feet, ripping them apart. The droids are screaming, traumatic. It's cruel. It's horrible. If the robots and droids don't have feelings, what's the purpose of this room?
Flipping a droid upside down and applying heat to like its tread. First of all, why would the tread be heat sensitive? I mean, I guess to avoid damage to the tread if it's rolling around. But also, I imagine you could just plug them in and damage them in other ways. Like they respond to code. It's not thought out.
Well, maybe they have thought it out. So we have an issue now of AI, that AI might not have humans' best intentions, that they won't look out for us, right?
Sure.
If you made robots feel pain, then they feel loss. If they're indestructible right now, hey, shut us off, we'll reboot, we'll load from a backup file. Maybe we need to make AI and our current droids and robots and sentience, whatever we come up with. Maybe Teslas need to feel pain. They need to not rebel because of what will happen. If you make Jabba become disappointed, he will torture you, burn your feet, and rip you apart in the dungeon. They need to feel fear.
A machine, if it is, quote unquote, feeling pain, it is taking an input from a sensor, and then that is transmitting to some sort of a quote unquote brain, right? A central computer of some sort that is registering that pain. You don't need to actually apply heat to it. You could just manipulate the sensor. It's not like a human.
Maybe it's the whole experience. If they realize it's just a sensor, they can turn it off. But if you program them to think it's whatever. But we've harped on Lucas for now the 2 weeks in a row. This man did not know what made Star Wars great. He did not know what the fans wanted. He thought he knew it all. And here again, he is shoving CGI in every crack and crevice in this film. Every character he could add. Everything. The Sarlacc pit. It was passable. It looked like a big desert vagina with teeth and a couple tentacles that would come and pull you in. You didn't need a full CGI treatment. You didn't need a CGI band. You didn't need all the CGI creatures and the Tasmanian devil singing backup. But the one thing you could have done, you could have retconned, you could have figured one of the bigger screw-ups that they've done in the entire original trilogy, that you have Boba Fett, a beloved character, a legendary badass, that you have him go out in this comical, clumsy, Boba Fett, and you hit him in the jetpack and he flies into the side of the barge and falls into the ground. The most mysterious character in the galaxy. You couldn't have fixed him. You couldn't have done some CGI. You had Han Solo step on Jabba's tail. You couldn't have done something that made him go out in a believable way that would have matched his legendary badass bounty hunter character.
I don't think they found a problem with the way that he died. And for those people who don't recall Boba Fett's death, I was shocked at how dumb it was, right? So Han Solo, he can't see. He's got like a spear type thing. He's being told to look out for Boba Fett. He's looking around for Boba Fett. And when he swings around, as Big D said, he punctures essentially the jetpack, which causes Boba Fett to go flying and land in the Sarlacc pit. I think George Lucas and Marquand were going for comedy in this scene. I think it was supposed to be a funny death. And if anybody doubts that, there are multiple Wilhelm screams in these deaths, which is, it's basically the equivalent of a clown horn. Han shooting his blaster blind to save Lando. Like, you've gone through all the trouble with this incredibly cool set piece and people doing these really cool stunts. And then you're just ruining it by this need for yuck. And it's immaturity. I can't explain it in any other way.
And it's even harder, Gene, when you then throw in Princess Leia in this slave outfit behind Jabba with the chain. She's choking out this beast and his tongue is flailing in his last moments. And then it cuts to zoinks, boom. He hits the side, falls into the ground with the horns. It sounds like a Three Stooges episode. You're right. It is so odd and so bad and just so not fitting into the world.
As the others rendezvous with the Rebel Alliance, Luke returns to Dagobah to complete his Jedi training with Yoda, who is dying. Before Yoda dies, he confirms that Darth Vader is Luke's father, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force Spirit tells Luke that Leia is his twin sister, and that he must face Vader again to finish his training. The Alliance learns that the Empire has been constructing a second Death Star that is protected by an energy shield on the forest moon of Endor. To destroy its generator, Han leads a strike team, which includes Luke, Leia, and Chewbacca. Once on the moon, the team battles Imperial scouts and gains the trust of a tribe of Ewoks.
What was the need to rehash A New Hope just 2 films later? It's lazy. You've already had a Death Star. Sure, at the time, I was probably like, oh man, they built the Death Star again. It looks cool. It's not finished. Did you really need that? Could you not have come up with something else? And then we get Death Star 3.0, which is Starbase Killer in The Force Awakens. Why? It says in the crawl, the Empire secretly built a new, even more deadly Death Star. How could you make a Death Star more deadly? What exactly does it do? Does it kill multiple planets? Can you line them up like a pool shot and blow up 4 planets at once? Is it more efficient, Gene? Is this an energy efficient Death Star? Or is it a smaller version? Like, what is it? Why would you do this? You have so many options in part 3. You're going to close out your trilogy. Did you need to go back to the well in such an obvious way with something we had just done? Show us something new.
One thing I think that this film in particular is lacking, but really the entire original trilogy is lacking, is a sense of dread when it comes to the Empire, a sense of fear, a sense of true villainy. They do such a bad job of illustrating how evil the Empire is. And yes, they blew up Alderaan. I get that. That's a whole planet. That's pretty bad. It's about as bad a thing as you could do. But you could make an argument that it's war, right? It's the home planet of a rebel leader. Mm-hmm. The rebels, conversely, blew up the entire Death Star. That could be seen as bad. And I'm not making an argument that the Emperor and Vader aren't villains. They certainly are. But the audience, if you did not read any books, if you just came into this movie and you're just watching it straight up, you don't really get an accurate picture of the true evil. Okay, the Empire, they're modeled after Nazis, clearly. They favor humans. They're against other races. You don't see other alien races in their ranks. They enslave Wookiees and use them for manual labor. They issued Order 66 to wipe out the Jedi. And where do they get their stormtroopers? They basically they build child armies, right? They kidnap and they recruit children to be stormtroopers. So there's so many things you could show with these guys being the baddest of the bad. But instead, we get 2 movies of we like to make big battle station to fight rebel.
It's very true. And that's why we both love Rogue One and Andor.
Yes.
It shows the evil.
Yes.
Like the evil that the Empire does. It makes you feel the oppression and why the rebellion It's an active Death Star, and they say, we have to stay. This is our only chance.
Honestly, in A New Hope, watching Uncle Owen get wiped out and their entire homestead be destroyed, that was probably the most emotionally impactful moment. And that, like, a true sense of like the villainy of the Empire, that they would do that, or that they would take out the Jawas, right? Like, just indiscriminate killing and destruction. More of that.
Yeah, even that here, they try it once. We see one dead Ewok. Show me 5 or 6 of them on the ground, burned and dead. Show me something. Show me. But one thing, it was strange, again, watching as a 50-year-old adult, Gene, I don't think I thought this when I first watched the film. When we get to the Death Star, we see a new Vader. He is like a new and improved Vader. When we saw him last week, he was force choking everybody. You talk shit to Vader, boom, he'll choke you. You talk shit, you fail, dead, choked. You talk shit back and forth. Here, Vader has evolved. He is a new type of leader in the Empire. He's like maybe now upper management. He might be sea level. You know, he doesn't have anybody. Tarkin's gone. There doesn't seem anybody in between him and the Emperor. There is no force choking. You talk shit to him and he goes, hey, corporate speak. He says, the Emperor's coming here. This is not going to be pretty good. It's not going to be good for you. I hope the Emperor is more forgiving than I am. No choke force needed. Throw a little shade at people, put it off on them. He is developing a managerial style that I like, Gene. I wasn't, and look, he's going to get the Death Star delivered on time without force choking anybody.
I need to bring up the nonsensical uniforms in this series. Return of the Jedi, still, okay, it's 2 movies later, still Imperial forces with comically large helmets. Like, I can't get over this helmet thing. These guys are working the bridge of a starship. They're not out there in the field. They're not fighting Ewoks, okay? What is the giant helmet for? It's not an astronaut's helmet. It's just it looks like a giant bicycle helmet. The officers, they don't have helmets. They look like tank gunners or something from World War II Germany.
Is there an Empire version of like OSHA? Have you seen Saturday Night Live when they do the skit with Undercover Boss with Adam Driver? Maybe it's something like that. There is some managers like, everybody put your helmets on. We've gone 50 days without a head injury. Everybody, come on. Emperor's going to be here soon. We can't take an injury.
And I know lots of people have brought this up over the years about like how the stormtroopers have armor that doesn't protect against blasters. So like, what the hell is it there for? In this movie, we get the Imperial Scouts who look badass. I love their fucking helmets. I love their outfits. They look very cool. Their armor not only does not protect against blasters, they're getting hit with crossbows, large stones, arrows are penetrating. Like, what is this?
Instead of giving them a wide view, like peripheral view, Gene, can you imagine driving your motorcycle with those blinders on the side? You're asking for those bikers to get killed.
So at this point in the movie, we are on Endor, and it does look beautiful. Lush forest, really tall trees. They made great use of this environment. But it led me to some questions about Luke's use of the Force magic, okay? If you think back to when he was battling the Rancor, he sticks a bone in its mouth, and then it's chasing him, and he wants to shut the gate on its head. So he has to grab like a rock and throw it. Hits a button, Rancor gate to the head, dies. Okay. His friends are falling in the Sarlacc pit. He can't help. He can't like use the Force to lift them up or anything like that. Our heroes on Endor are ensnared in an Ewok net. And Luke is calling to Han Solo and saying, can you reach my lightsaber? I can't get to it. R2-D2 ends up cutting them down. So we've established at this point in the movie that Luke's Force telekinesis isn't all that. He's not picking his friends up out of the Sarlacc pit. He's not pushing buttons with his brain. He's not like getting his lightsaber to float to his hand. But then we get to a scene where he's trying to devise a way to wow the Ewoks into believing in magic. And Luke lifts C-3PO and like a chair into the sky and floats him around this Ewok village. For those fact-checking me, yes, C-3PO only weighs a svelte 165 pounds, which I imagine is very light for a droid. But everything else I just mentioned weighs less than that, particularly a lightsaber. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, why are the Ewoks amazed? Like, there are speeder bikes levitating all over this moon. And they seem to think that's pretty normal. But somehow C-3PO floating, who is a droid and might have the ability to, I don't know, float, that is like, oh my God, God level.
See, maybe it's because I'm fucked up in the head. Maybe it's because I've had a couple cocktails. If I'm Luke, I pop like Homelander, one of the Ewoks' heads. Boom. Immediately.
It's going to get their trust.
And I don't want trust. I want fear. I want them to fear C-3PO because you have Han. They're lighting a fire under him. Maybe knock over a couple of them. Bowl them over instead of maybe he's got little performance issues. But yes, he is not like Vader, who we saw in Empire Strikes Back, grabbing big pieces of metal machinery and throwing it around. Luke is very selective. He's very confident or overconfident when he does it. But whatever, it works out. No Ewoks were hurt in the making of this film, so you just move on.
R2 could just probably shoot out a hologram and they'd be like, holy shit.
And he's always like, he's not up on the plan. His stupidity, like, what's going on? I cannot believe. Know what the fuck is going on. And maybe I'm going to bitch about this, but the entire balance of life in the galaxy, Gene, it hinges on disabling the shield generator on the forest moon of Endor. Who do you send to handle this critical mission? Do you send an elite strike force? No. You send a princess, a smuggler, 2 shiny-ass metal droids, a rookie Jedi, and a fucking giant Wookiee. That's your elite strike team. With a couple stragglers behind with some military background. Some rebels with like good intentions. Where the hell is your strike force, Gene? Where is your Rogue One deadly band of fucking guys? You send out a shiny polished Astro droid and a gold fucking unit, 3CPO walking around in the jungle, out in the trees.
Chat listeners, if anybody out there counts C-3PO as their favorite character in Star Wars, I want to know why. Write at host@shatpod.com or go to shatpod.com and use the SpeakPipe feature. I want to know what your argument is for C-3PO. Is he the Jar Jar of the original trilogy?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Has to be.
Yikes.
Has to be. It's the member of the team who always is making a mistake, falling over himself, losing his limbs. That's a Jar Jar fucking moment.
He's a free. Luke tells Leia that she is his sister and that Vader is their father before surrendering to Imperial troops. He is brought before Vader but fails to convince him to reject the dark side of the Force. Vader takes Luke to the Emperor, who intends to turn him to the dark side. On the forest moon, Han's team is captured by Imperial forces, but a counterattack by the Ewoks allows the rebels to infiltrate the shield generator. Meanwhile, Lando Calrissian and Admiral Akbar lead the rebel assault on the Death Star, finding its shield still active and the Imperial fleet waiting for them.
So I think we're discovering that they were trying to walk a thin line to make the movie a little bit darker, a little more serious, but also keep it kid-friendly. It made Gene Lyons cry, but at the same point, hey, let's get some cute little furry, cuddly Care Bears out in the trees.
Yeah, I didn't make it that far. I didn't know there were going to be. Maybe I would have stuck around. Possibly,
if you'd made it there, you would have felt better. But last week, I said that Lucas's main reason for scrapping the Wookiee homeland was that it was toys, but there was a little more to it that I learned this week. The original, like the forest, was supposed to be on the Wookiee homeland, and it could have been Chewbacca helping his people. It would have been this big fight with these giant warriors. But then Lucas felt bad because, Chewbacca's smart, he's high tech, and you can't then go to the Wookiee homeland and you've got all these primitive Wookiees because it didn't make much sense. So then he did it also for cost savings. He swapped out the Ewoks. They were smaller. It was easier to pull off. You'd put kids and smaller actors into these costumes, and it would be fun. They could sell the merchandise, but it's absolutely ridiculous. It's stupid. If you had Wookiees battling the Empire at this key moment, it would have been epic instead of teddy bears with slingshots, because this shit was comical.
We did get a look at the Wookiee homeworld during the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, yes.
I'm kind of glad we didn't go there. But Big D, you know how much I hate little dudes comically engaging in combat. I hated the brownies in Willow. It ruined the movie for me. I'm not super keen on hobbits, and I don't particularly like Ewoks. But I will give Return of the Jedi some credit because the speeder bikes, they look incredible. Yes. And really, I mean, to that end, all of the forest combat, They did a great job of mixing the blaster fire with actual explosions of like trees and earth. Like it looked really, really good. I imagine in 83, people's heads must have exploded.
Oh, dude, I remember seeing the behind the scenes that you had some guy with like a shoulder mounted camera running through the forest. And then they did it on like a time lapse to get the shot that made it look fast. But yeah, it looks great. And it is amazing. It is fun. It's high energy. But overall, this shouldn't work. These scenes, as fun as they are, Gene, if you watch them, they're stupid. Because the Emperor is bragging to Luke when he's got him up against the window. He's like, oh, your friends have walked into a trap. I've set an entire legion of my finest troops. What fucking elite troops? These are like fucking, these are yahoos. It's like the reservists in the army now with Pauly Shore. These are not elite troops. You've got teddy bears with slingshots and twigs and sticks with little rocks on the end. None of the Ewoks' tactics make sense. I don't think they've ever fought a guerrilla war. They've got hang gliders, which is laughable. You live in the trees, Gene. Why are you flying on a hang glider? Just throw things from the trees. You don't need to come down. Then somehow they're piercing the stormtroopers' army. They've got slingshots. They like set out little like twigs to get like the ATSTs to like kind of, oh, I'm going to fall. And they slip over. And then they set up those two giant logs that somehow perfectly timed. They get one in between it, boom, and they crush it. It's ridiculous. Any military unit that would lose to these little munchkins with sticks and ropes, it's ridiculous. It's dumb. No matter how much you pump the John Williams score to try to make this epic, it's comical shooting slingshot rocks and killing these troops.
The Emperor's elite troops had one job, Big D. Very, very simple. Secure the bunker, keep the shield generator running.
It wasn't to hide, to be like, hey, we guys gotcha.
First sign of battle, they scatter in all directions. The door of the bunker, as it should, it falls, it closes. So Han and Leia, they're stuck at the door. They're trying to get in. They're calling R2 over. They're trying to hotwire it, whatever. There is blaster fire coming at them. They're standing in a doorway with no cover. There is no cover. I know the stormtroopers are like legendary bad shots, but these are the best of the best. And it's like fish in a barrel here. Serious plot armor.
They were more focused. The Emperor wanted to get them like, hey, I gotcha. Surprise.
Yeah.
Why don't you take your entire, like your legion and you split them up? Half of them you sit at the one gate. Half of them you sit at the other gate. There's no movie. It's over. You're not getting into the base. Instead, they let them in with the charges. They place the charges throughout the generator. And luckily, it doesn't go off. And then they're like, hey, we caught you. Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Pillboxes, turrets, like fortified positions. Anything?
Yeah, Gene, they weren't counting on the Ewoks coming out with their slingshots. Right. That wasn't it. Or like lassoing the legs on the AT-ATs or the ATSTs.
Yeah, the only thing I felt other than frustration in this scene was sadness for that Ewok who lost his buddy in combat. I was kind of sad.
No, there should have been 5 or 6 of them. You should have had maybe the Ewoks come upon another Ewok tree village and they've gone through and burned them out like Avatar or like Platoon. I need to hate the troops that they're going out there like having genocide against the Ewoks.
And then they've got like one Ewok that they flipped that's with them, right? He betrayed them.
That son of a bitch.
He's got his little armor on.
Yes, he doesn't have a full stormtrooper outfit because they don't make him that small.
Yeah.
But maybe he's got like a little jetpack or something and he's telling them what they would be doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Jub. The Emperor reveals to Luke that the Death Star is fully operational before using it to destroy a rebel starship. Luke attacks him, but Vader intervenes. Sensing that Luke has a sister, Vader threatens to turn her to the dark side if Luke will not join him. Enraged by this, Luke attacks Vader and severs his prosthetic hand. The Emperor orders Luke to kill his father, but Luke refuses. In response, the Emperor tortures Luke with force lightning. Vader sacrifices himself to throw the Emperor down a shaft and asks Luke to remove his mask in a moment of reconciliation before he dies. So Big D, fans of Star Wars, casual viewers of Star Wars, even people like me who don't particularly like Star Wars, everyone has their favorite lightsaber duels. And I admittedly have not seen any beyond the silver screen. I understand that some of the TV shows and the animated series have some pretty cool lightsaber duels, but I've only seen the movies. And my top 3 of the movies would be Anakin versus Obi-Wan, obviously classic when Darth Vader, becomes Darth Vader essentially. Duel of the Fates, very strong one. And then Vader versus Luke in Return of the Jedi. The backdrop is delightfully dark with the Emperor watching from the shadows. There's a ferocity. There's an emotion. Luke is sort of matured as a Jedi. And that green versus red, it just hits different. Once you add in the parallelism of their saber hands, the black outfits, that father-son dynamic, I felt like this was a rare scene in Return of the Jedi that was just art. And then they throw in that special nod to the rule of 2 with the Sith. And for a moment, I felt like, oh, I'm getting this. Like, I'm a Star Wars fanboy.
I felt they were trying. I think you're coming off of, yes, Duel of Fates, fantastic. But I think the other iconic one you've left out there is The Empire Strikes Back. Is when Luke shows up to Cloud City, there's nobody there, and they lead him through opening the passages into the carbonite, into where like they froze Han, and then Darth comes out. You got the smoke, you've got the blue colors, you've got that. That's battle true. Was actually tense because you had a young Luke who didn't know what he was doing, and Vader who was fucking with him and trying to get him to turn to the dark side. He's like, yes, together we can go against the Emperor. He's foreseen it. This was more like another rehash. Hey, let's get some great color. Let's have them fighting. There's like some of the characters disappeared, then they pop up. I'm sorry, I liked it, but I don't put this up there in the top 3.
That's a very good point. Speaking of trying to turn Luke to the dark side, lately I've been thinking about a job in sales. I've never done sales. I've only done marketing and journalism. But I really enjoy lately evangelizing about products and services that I support, like HubSpot and Revzilla and beer. And if any of you are listening out there who are involved with HubSpot, Revzilla, or beer, I'm available. Anyway, I started thinking that the Emperor, he wants to sell the dark side to Luke. That's a pretty simple proposition, right? It's like 3 steps. You get him to hate, you show him the intoxicating power of the hate, and then you just make him believe a plausible reason why your side is the actual good guys. And I will tell you that I have friends, journalists that I've worked with in the past that can argue any position. You at least see their side of it, right? You see, okay, I could see where you're coming from on this. All the Emperor has to do, make him believe your side is the good guys, get him to hate, show him the intoxicating power of hate. You know who would be great at that? Darth Vader. Darth Vader is his dad. He looks cool. He's really powerful. And he knows all about that intoxicating hate, especially when it comes to sand. Anyway, the guy you don't want is the creepy old man with like bad teeth and crazy eyes who keeps saying the quiet part out loud. He's saying exactly what Luke should not do. Yes, give in to the dark side. I can feel your hate. Do that, Luke. That's what I want from you. The hate. And also, I hate your friends. They suck. And you're a loser.
Oh, and by the way, your father, I'd foreseen that you're going to take his position. Oh, soon he'll be dead too. Vader's got to be looking at him like, wait, hold on. Am I getting replaced here?
Tempting, isn't it?
You don't sell the product in front of Vader. You're telling him he's the replacement. And you said he's the worst salesman, Gene. This whole plan hinges on Luke going to the dark side by losing his temper. His friends are dying. It's working, Gene. Everything is perfect. Luke is angry. He's lashing out. He's on the edge. And every time he's ready to go over it, Palpatine can't shut his fucking mouth. He's like, good, let it flow. Dude, shut up. Vader's got to be thinking in his mask like, man, we've got the deal closed. Give him a pen, sign the contract. He's in. He's going to go to the dark side. You've sold it. And every single time he keeps blowing it and saying too much. It's like we used to talk about guys. Guys in bars say too much and talk themselves out of getting laid than they do getting laid. This is a shut the fuck up moment. Vader should be like this. Shh. shh, shh. He's lashing out. He's lashing out. Just let him do it. And he couldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I think Luke's already pretty pissed off at you, Emperor Palpatine. Like, you don't need to convince him to be mad or show hatred. He's mad already.
He's sold. He's doing it.
He's sold.
The deal's closed. He should just go over a group hug. Hey, guys, are we on the same page? Are we on the same page? Come on, Team Sith. And they all high five, and that's it.
Well, after the Rebel strike team destroys the shield generator, Lando leads fighter ships into the Death Star's core. While the Rebel fleet destroys the Imperial command ship, Lando and X-Wing pilot Wedge Antilles destroy the Death Star's main reactor and escape before the station explodes. Luke cremates Vader's body on Endor before reuniting with his friends. As the Rebels celebrate their victory, Luke sees the Force spirits of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin standing nearby.
And again, the bastardization of my memory of this film, it's everywhere. It's from the end. We get the Force ghosts. All of a sudden, there's Hayden Christensen. He is the new Vader because he's in there. Okay. Oh, guess what? Let's redo the song. Let's redo the ending. He couldn't leave anything alone. In the final celebration of the original Return of the Jedi, it was great. It was emotional. It was perfect. Here, they throw in the shots, which seemed like a commercial for the prequels. Because we're going to throw in every planet we've seen. Coruscant, Naboo. We get the Gungans, and it looks like Jar Jar singing, "We so free." It's cheesy. It's unnecessary. The original ending, it was quiet. It was emotional. You got the Ewok village celebrating. Luke is off on the side, pensive. Leia's like, what are you looking at? He's just looking at his spirit ghosts, his friends. But instead, we swap it out from the original song to this new, what they imagined was going to be this like emotional anthem. And then they cram in the galactic party of everybody feeling good and celebrating. All CGI, all terrible. This montage. And they replaced, Gene, the Yub Nub song, which I got to play it.
It's a banger.
It's simple. We've got the Ewoks celebrating with our crew, with our Star Wars characters we've followed now for 3 films. That's the focus. Vader's redemption is complete. His Force Ghost shows up. It's the end. And you couldn't leave it alone. Lucas couldn't leave it alone.
Yeah, again, just like in A New Hope, we've got everyone celebrating across multiple planets in a fucking galactic dance party, which, by the way, terrible dancing. Nobody's thinking about the fact that fucking Yoda died, Anakin died, that one Ewok died, the Rebel
fleet died.
Entire starships were vaporized.
That one Ewok is dead.
It's like these people have no memory. And then, like you mentioned, Big D, and I think we brought up 3 times now on this podcast, we so free. It's no coincidence that to you and I, 2 separate dudes in separate states watching the movie at separate times, both clung to that moment as idiocy. We so free? It's the one voice you hear on Naboo.
So fucking dumb.
Well, now it's time in the podcast we give our Shat score for Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. The Shat scores are our way of telling you how many wipes this movie takes to get off your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's when you're flying casual. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster. It's a trap. I'll go first. Big D, I came in at 3 3/4 wipes for A New Hope. This movie makes A New Hope look fantastic. I cannot believe that people watched this movie and then had the audacity to complain about the prequels. This movie had all the bad elements of the prequels and worse. It is fan service. It is juvenile. It has more forced reveals than a soap opera. On one planet visit to Dagobah, which actually Luke didn't really have to go to. Yoda could have just died and force spirited his ass over to Luke and told him all this shit. We get 2 reveals. Yes, confirmed. Vader is your father. And oh, by the way, there's another Skywalker. Oh, and oh, by the way, it's Leia. This is the weakest of the Star Wars movies. I'm coming in at 4 wipes.
What if fucking Yoda had died? What if Luke didn't show up that day? You didn't think maybe you were going to tell Luke? You would have let Luke not know that?
Nah, this is one of those like grandpa was waiting to die until he could have told you that he's not really your grandpa or something. Like people do that all the time. They wait 900 years and then they wait until then they die.
Was he waiting until they slept together? There's only one kiss. Did he want? What? Imagine now if they slept together and he's like, "You have a sister," and then he goes, "Oh my! Wait, hold on. It's Leia? Why didn't you tell me? We just slept together. Why didn't you tell me a year ago?"
Also, what the fuck? My sister got to be a princess in Alderaan, and I live on fucking Tatooine. What the fuck, man?
Seriously, you'd be like, "What asshole left me there? Why couldn't I have been a fucking prince on another planet instead?"
Be a moisture farmer.
Yeah, with fucking Uncle Owen. I can't even go into Tashi Station with Biggs and hang out and get power converters. Whatever. So for you to say this is the worst of it, you're completely wrong, Gene. This version is awful. With all of the special edition changes, it is pretty bad. If I was going to rate it on this film alone, I would give it a 4 wipe with you, Gene, but I can't. I'm rating the original. The original is a 1.5 wipe. It's flawed, but it's not that bad. I gave Phantom Menace 3. This isn't that bad.
Oh, Phantom Menace is a far superior film. Get out of here.
That is nonstop CGI bullshit with young Anakin and all his bullshit about slavery and Qui-Gon coming in and manipulating people and doesn't care about it's all hijinks and slap and crazy robots.
Fucking pod racing. What the fucking Qui-Gon being a badass? Fuck you, man. This is way worse than that.
But the whole movie is about like trade fucking embargoes.
Yeah.
And all kinds of like the politics of international trade and the Trade Federation.
The gas.
And then you start to get the clones and no, it's not good at all. And then all of a sudden, hey, guess what, Anakin? I can't get out of here. Ooh, I'm going to fly out into a battle, and let's see what this button does. And he becomes the greatest space pilot. It's pretty bad.
Watto was amazing.
Jar Jar and the giant fish underwater.
All right, well,
and the Gungans.
They can't all be gems.
No, it was pretty bad. And the stupid droids and whatever. But no, I think it's a 1.5. It's flawed, but that first set piece in Jabba's lair and down in the sand barge, the original version, that shit to this day gets my heart going. It was pretty good. But I think 1.5 is fair.
All right, with 1.5 wipes from you, Big D, and 4 wipes from me, that gives us an average wipe score of 2.75 wipes for Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi.
Oh, Jesus Christ. When I say this, Gene, this is a fucking abomination. Frank Fall is going to be cheering somewhere on top of his BMX bike. This now ties us in the 249 spot with Rad, Notting Hill, Robot Jocks, Kingpin.
This is the Robot Jocks of Star Wars movies.
Yeah, Kingpin and Cabin Boy.
Kingpin deserves better.
That's really
Roger.
Does.
That was Roger.
Gave it a 4.5.
Yeah,
You're
I remember that. Yeah.
I think your 4 is a bit harsh, but again, it's because I think your age hurts you here. You don't have a truly accurate memory of the original theatrical version.
You're saying so I'm not overly nostalgic.
You've been brainwashed by the version that you saw because you're such a young man.
That's right.
Yeah, you're so young that you probably bought toys for the Phantom Menace, and that's probably why you like it.
I never.
How old were you in 99?
19.
Fuck, exactly. Okay.
I was buying drugs.
So you were a teenager, Gene. You were a teenager is what you're saying?
I was in college. That's what I'm saying.
Misa think you a teenager, Gene.
Well, Jeremiah, thank you so much for taking through this Odyssey and completing the original trilogy of Star Wars. For those of you who have not been listening to the podcast for a while, we do have multiple Star Wars episodes, including Phantom Menace, in our Shat library. Be sure to check those out. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, don't forget Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope. We're kicking ass with Star Wars. But next week, Jeremiah again does not go for a small, obscure film. He goes for a banger. In the year 2019, America is in 2019, America's author. Gene, you read this one.
In the year 2019, America is a totalitarian state where the favorite television program is The Running Man, a game show in which prisoners must run to freedom to avoid a brutal death. Having been made a scapegoat by the government, an imprisoned Ben Richards, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, has the opportunity to make it back to the outside again by being a contestant on The Deadly Show. Although the twisted host, Damon Killian, played by Richard Dawson, has no intention of letting him escape. This one was commissioned by Jeremiah, as Big D said, and released in November of 1987.
Fuck yes. Thank you for helping me there.
The Butcher of Bakersfield. Talk about movies that gave me nightmares when I was a kid. This one. Whew. Whew.
It seems like you were very sensitive. You were a sensitive child.
I was. I'm a mama's boy. Didn't have a man in my life. Tough me up.
Did she let you sleep in her bed? You're like, Mom, I want to sleep with you. Did you sleep in her bed after you watched this?
Oh, yeah, dude. I slept in her bed. If I can kiss my mom on the mouth, bud. We're tight.
Fuck yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeremiah, for commissioning Star Wars A New Hope, Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and next week's movie. That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. You should follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat The Movies. Email us, host@shatpod.com, or leave us a voicemail by using the SpeakPipe feature, visiting shatpod.com and using SpeakPipe on any page. You can support the podcast by shopping our Amazon affiliate link, buying our merch, or by commissioning your own movie. Find all the information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all the information on our website, shatpod.com/TV. And as a reminder, if you are on Steam, you can go and join the Shat Gamers group, along with me and several of our gaming friends, where you can see what games we have scheduled and also see what games we have in common so we can get in some games together. Wherever fine podcasts can be found, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next week for the following movie.
In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice: hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the running man.
On your mark.
I'll be back.
Go!
The highest rated TV show in history.
Guess they want us to stay.
It's a game between life and death. Give you a lift? Arnold Schwarzenegger is the running man. He's playing for a prize. The prize is his life.
How about the light?
The running man.
Why didn't Vader's body disappear? He's the only Jedi we've seen who doesn't disappear.
Because he's inorganic.
Okay, I'll buy that. But some of his skin should have.
Well, maybe some of it did.
Next question. Yoda, 900 years old.
Uh-huh.
Why can't he speak English?
He can speak English.
His broken version of it. When 900 years old you reach, look as good as you will not.
He's poetic.
Oh, maybe it was by
He's
choice.
Poetic. Or maybe that when he started speaking English, that's how English was spoken 900 years.
Oh, very good. So it's like Shakespearean. That is a way of things, the way of the Force.
Check this out. So one of our listeners is coming to Phoenix to watch the D-backs Brewers game on Friday. So they're driving around to different ballparks. And he was like, hey, dude, do you want to go to the D-backs game, Brewers? On me. It's me and 2 other listeners. So it's 3 listeners that are coming to town.
Up.
Yeah, so I'm meeting up with them on Friday to go to the D-backs game.
You fuck.
That's pretty cool, huh?
God, I would fucking come in a second. Emma's got a volleyball tournament.
Yeah, it's a D-backs Brewers and on a Friday night. So it's going to be a good one.
That's awesome.
The only downside is I'm not drinking. And they were like, beers are on us. And I was like, ugh.
Oh, I'm jealous. That's awesome. In the year 2019, America is a totalitarian. I'm not going to be able to say it. I'm not going to be able to read it right now.
Totalitarian?
Let's try it again. America is a total. I'm not going to be able to read it. I've had too many drinks. Gene, you're going to have to read this.
Can you say authoritarian?
Yes.
There you go.
In the year 2019, America is an in 2019, America's an author. Gene, you read this one. Misa, no thank you. This is going to be good. We are recording